All right, so I'm gonna try to walk around this sewing room and not make you seasick while I walk. Let's see how we do. I apologize ahead of time if you don't like things that are moving or bouncing a little bit. You might want to watch. So I sew in the basement, and here's a quick overview. So I'm standing at the bottom of the stairs, or actually I'm standing 2 stairs from the bottom, and I have on my right some shelves and a cabinet. These are some of my favorite fat quarter bundles, and I have my scan and cut. Then as you look to your left, I do still have a Christmas tree up. I keep it up all year round. It's purple. It also has pink and teal and purple ornaments on it. So if you know me, that's probably not a surprise. If you don't, surprise. So here are some of my wall hangings that are adorning the walls. All right, so I'm coming down, and the first thing that you'll see is this big, beautiful desk. This was my mother-in-law's. My plan is to redo it eventually. It is currently housing my iPad and my collection of 90s memorabilia from when I was a kid. I've got my Care Bears, you know, Rainbow Bright. Doesn't everybody have that in their sewing room? And I have this really beautiful cabinet set. This beautiful cabinet set was in my old sewing room at my old house. And when I sold the house, the people that were buying it, they were going to throw these away. So we brought them with us. So that was nice that they let us keep them. Not that they wanted to throw them away. All right, so I'm walking. All right, so here's the part of my room that's really messy. It's down right here. So this is all of the stuff that still needs to find a place. I've been transferring my fabric that was folded on the shelves onto comic book boards. And that is the last little bit that's left that I didn't get done before I filmed this video. So I have some Ikea cabinets. They're like it's like a desk topper sitting on top of the counter over here, and it stores things like my printer ink, right, and digital camera stuff, extension cords, blah blah blah. I have these little guys here. These are great for putting little things. So I used a glue gun to make sure that they stayed stuck to each other. And I belong to one of those programs where you get like a really cool box every month. And the box and the projects are always really cool. But sometimes I already have the pieces. And so the extra pieces, they get stored in that little container over there. I have all kinds of stuff up in these cabinets. The far left one stores extra storage containers and stuff that needs to be bound. The top pieces here, I have some fabrics. I have an extra large selection of Dr. Seuss fabrics and a bunch of baby quilts that are already finished. And that one over there houses finished quilts and wall hangings. And then I have a bunch of slat wall. This is one of my favorite things for staying organized. I have had a different variety of slat wall, always the same type of slat wall, but in this space that I have, I'm very lucky right now because I have this huge basement to sew in. I wasn't always that lucky. But I have always had some sort of slat wall in my sewing space. So I used to use it for a much more utilitarian purpose. I would put things like my rulers and shelves that held like all of the stuff that I would be working on the slat wall instead of just using it for decorations. So I do pull things off the slat wall and I do use them. And then I try to fill them with something so it doesn't look like there's a big empty hole. So that's the disadvantage of using your slat wall as your decoration. But that's what we have over here. I have a bunch of these Ikea carts. This one, I like to hack my Ikea stuff. So this is not a complicated hack. I just took the top and I flipped it upside down so it wasn't a shelf, so it was a top. And then I stuck my basket on top of it. So I'm a planner junkie. So those are my little planner sticker books. And that little box down there is another container that has a bunch of little dividers in it, and that's where I keep all of my extra planner rings. So there you go. Now you guys did not know that I was a planner junkie. I love the Happy Planner almost as much as I love fabric. It just stores in a smaller space. So this is my old sewing desk. I have had this desk for about 15, closer to 20 years. It's gone through a house fire with me and it lasted. So it was a great little sewing space, but as you can see over here, the opening inside here is pretty small. So it no longer fit my sewing machine, and it hasn't really fit my sewing machine for a long time. So I was really due for a new desk for quite a while, and it just took me a really long time to do that. So now when I'm digitizing, I hook up my laptop right there, and this is the spot that I like to actually do my embroidery stuff. So this is where I do all the computer work for my embroidery. The drawers are labeled. In case you didn't notice, I do a lot of labeling. If I don't label, I don't put things back where they're supposed to be. It has to have a home, or else I'm super messy if it doesn't have a home. And so my printer, this is again an Ikea chest of drawers, and then another Ikea cart. This is my ironing station cart, and they make great tools, these little carts. Ikea is not the only one that makes these now. I have a really cool one upstairs that has some planner stuff in the living room and it has all kinds of extra goodies that I got from Michael's. And then I have a boring old iron, nothing super exciting there. Underneath my iron, I have these 3 little bins, and those bins are items that I've washed that need to be like ironed and then put away. So those are my Christmas napkins and my Christmas table runner. So they've been washed and they need to be ironed and put away. And I'm ashamed to say that it is April and I have not done that yet. Why? Because I've been redoing my sewing room and I just didn't get to it. And so here is my other wall. I have some more slat wall up here and a little itty bitty one that looks like a house over here, and a ton of drawer space. So who doesn't need drawers? These are from Michael's. So the one on the very left and then the one right next to it is a little bit smaller. So the big ones that are on the left and the right, they came from Michael's. The smaller one in the center came from Office Depot. I have one other smaller one and then a bunch of other large ones. And they house my stabilizers. You can see they're peeking out over there. I have a section for wash away, cut away, tear away. And in some of the drawers, I actually have some pre-cut pieces that go with like the hoops that I use frequently, just because they store flat easier. And in this section here, I have some specialty threads. So that little container that's inside, that's a drawer insert. So these are really useful drawers, or by the Really Useful Box company. And that I got from Office Depot and Michael's, but the insert that you can see in the thread and then this one right here, those inserts came from the Container Store. And so here's the little spools are sitting in the little drawer and they're all messy. And then my big spools, they have golf tees in them that are hot glued so that they stay nice and organized. And my metallic drawer is looking a little thin right now. And then I have my slat wall, again, mostly decorative, except for this one over here. This one on the side has just a bunch of stuff. I've got my Kimberbell glitters and leathers and things like that. And then I know you guys are all going to be laughing at me now because you have seen my Care Bears, my Rainbow Bright, and now you can see my New Kids on the Block dolls. I was definitely a 90s kid. Late 80s. All right, so there's the top with a bunch of storage containers. So now you've seen the cutting counter, my thread storage, and here is the center of the room. All right, so I have my 4B girls here. So I have 2 sewing and embroidery machines, and I have a straight stitch only machine and a serger over here. But one of the things that you can see, I'm going to try to hold this up here, at each of my sewing machines, I have a coaster so that I don't get, condensation or whatever on all of the wood. I have a cutting mat. I have a small ruler. I have a rotary cutter. I have a big pair of scissors. I have a magnetic pincushion. I have a stash and store. My stash and store keeps all of the goodies that I typically use for that type of machine. So they're each a little different. My drawers for each of my machines are all labeled in a similar manner. The top drawer houses the feet for the machine. The serger has more than one drawer for feet. In here, I have my luminaire box. I'll open the drawer some more with the standard stuff that came with it. And then I have my bobbin rings. You can't see my third box in there. It's way down at the bottom. That third box down at the bottom has like specialty threads. And then the top one is all embroidery thread. And the one that's down there that's empty, it's empty, guys. Totally empty. If you know me, you know this is making me crazy, right? I like to just wind a whole bunch of bobbins at a time. But I keep my bobbins separate from embroidery, sewing, and then I have a miscellaneous box. My miscellaneous box usually stores things like quilting threads, decorative thread, embroidery thread. So these are from Harbor Freight. I have 3 of them because I am a sewing machine foot junkie, and they are labeled. So each foot is labeled and it has its own space so that I can find the feet with ease. All right. See, I am total foot junkie here. All right, put those back. And then I have my embroidery module with my embroidery hoops. So my large hoops are just to the right of the embroidery module. There is a trash can underneath my sewing machine here. I'm a big person about sewing trash cans. Can't have enough in your sewing space. So this drawer here contains the rest of my hoops and some of my magnetic hoops. I have my big magnetic hoop in there. And then the bottom one here, so my bottom drawer with all of my sewing spaces is my current project drawer. So this one is housing my embroidery project that I've been working on. I have everything that I need to get back to working on it. I have my threads pulled out, they're in a container, my instructions, and my fabric pieces. So I find that is super helpful in staying organized is to keep a space close to you so that you can have all of your stuff that you're working on. Over here, this guy, this is a seat, like a DVD stand, and these little crates, they're super cute, right? I don't really care what's on the side of them. They happen to all be like farm things. There's apples and cows, I think, but they work really cute for storing fat quarters. So if you're looking for something that's cute and functional, you can use like DVD stands. These are like a dime a dozen still. Or these little crates. You can stack the crates. That's a really nice thing. Well, this is my phone thing, which I'm not using. So I'm really sorry if anybody is getting motion sickness as I take you around. So now I am coming around. I'm still on the back wall. And here is my closet. So I have storage up at the top. Turn on the light. Let there be light. So those bins at the top, those are all art bins, and they're storing a variety of different things. I have finished projects, unfinished projects, a bunch of scrapbooking stuff up there. I have graph paper, fusible applique stuff, quilt books, binders with quilt patterns, some more manuals and things like that. Down here, I have some projects in bins. You can't really see the labels, but there are labels on those. The drawers down the side, those are labeled. And those are where I put the scraps after I cut them down. And some more stacking bins, zipper storage. This is a little thing back here that keeps my safety pins for pinning quilts. These are my zipper pulls. Shoe boxes. These work perfect for my zippers. I like to buy zippers by the yard. Then I have, this is the newest station. So I kind of grew out of what I was putting my fabric scraps in, and I saw these at Ikea. They're just wire baskets, and they're super easy to put together, and I just label them. So each bin is labeled, and then you can put your scraps in there. Once my bin gets full, then I cut down the scraps so that I can use them. They make great baby quilts and things like that. Oh, this is funny. So back here in the corner, so these are, this was in my old software, but this is kind of like how I learned to digitize. I embroidered out all of the step fills for everything, so that I could see what they would actually look like when they were stitched out. All right, and I'm going to close this. So this door over here leads to my husband's workspace, and I usually store this in front of the other closet. This is just one of those, it's like a hanging wardrobe rack, and I just have one of my projects clipped on here because it's got a lot of pieces on it, like this one right here, that I didn't want to fold. And this will surprise all of you to know that I'm not finished with this. So I still have to do my border quilting, and then this will be done. So I'm leaving the back wall here. I've got this big, beautiful window in here, which is really nice, and more storage. So this is my Ikea cart. And my Ikea cart is labeled. Jane, here's where I put my current project. Here's where I put my project scraps. There's my machine. There's my pin holder, my rotary cutter, my scissors, my mat, my ruler, my coaster, my serger. My serger does not have a magnetic pin cushion because I don't want to be tempted, but I do have a ton of Wonder Clips. This is the other size, really useful drawers. These were clear. I spray painted them glitter. Who doesn't need glitter? Here are my serger feet, all labeled. The hammer feet, the binders, all that, all labeled inside. Really easy to get to. Same thing for the other machine. There's my cutting counter. Lots of space. We'll get back to that. Here is my other closet. I like to store my fabric on comic book boards. It makes it super easy to see the fabric. These are just regular shelves, nothing too fancy. Over here, I have needle storage. So these little bins, they pull out. There you go. At the bottom, I have extras for my rotary cutters. These were my old scrap bins, and now they house unfinished projects, projects to be started. They also house my collection of Bella box from my Kimberbell and my AccuCut quilt stuff. Over here, I have more of those bins. They're all labeled. They sell those bins at the Container Store. You can get them in a variety of different sizes. They sell these style stacking things at Harbor Freight and Home Depot and Lowe's. So if you don't want something that is closed, those make great containers. This is more slat wall in this closet. I have some cabinets up here. These cabinets hold some of my old design packs. Almost everything is on a USB stick or digital these days. I have some paint, some patterns, all kinds of stuff. This is just funny because I'm sure everybody has a shopping cart in their little sewing space. This was in my father-in-law's house and I spray painted it glitter. So I actually use it. So what's in here right now, this is stuff that needs to be put away because I pulled it out for a project and that's what's left over. So now I just need to put it away. So I keep this in here and then I pull my fabrics and my supplies and I put everything in the shopping cart and then I take it to my cutting table and I get it all prepared. And again, oops, we're just about where we came in. This is where I have my scan and cut. I've got the tools, all that stuff is all labeled underneath it. And back to the beginning, let's talk about this cutting table. So my cutting table has 4 sides because it's square. I have casters at the bottom. This is also an Ikea piece. It is piecemealed together. I have 2 of the Ikea Kallax. These are supposed to be 8 shelves. I just hacked it. I took a shelf off the top and the side so that I had some tall spaces and some wider spaces. You can see the seam here. There are 2 desk tops on top of here. I have 4 cutting mats. Over here, I have my bin that I put scraps to be put away in. So as I'm cutting, that's where I put the excess scraps. Just my trash can. I put my pattern in here. I keep all of my rulers out. There's my rotary cutter with my scissors, my extra rotary cutters with new blades and dull blades. I do store them that way because I just usually change them all at the same time. They get stored in that little gray thing at the top. But that is my sewing space. So I know this was a long video. If you're still watching, thanks. If you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks.